Thanks for introductions. Actually, you did quite well with our names. We know they're tricky. But yeah, hey, I'm Juha-Matti. She's Aino. We're both from Siili. It's great to be here in this Sausage Dog Global Conference this year.
Yeah.
Lovely.
And, well, we're just two regular design consultants standing in front of a super cool audience, asking them to love us back. If you know the movie reference, then you're a millennial, but that's true also. But hey, we had some stuff.
Yeah, so we're going to be talking about service design and impact. The headline for our talk actually is when service design was about to make zero impact. So the thing is to kind of learn from those moments.
Yeah, and hey, this might sound a little negative here for a room full of service designers, but we have a few pledges to do before we actually get into the topic. So number one, we're not going to dwell on it too much, OK? I try to promise. If I break my promises, come talk to me afterwards. What we're hoping this is maybe is some healthy self-reflection and maybe a little group therapy for all of us. I need it. I don't know if you guys need it, but
would be good.
Here for it. OK. But also, we're promising that on top of these, we're going to try to give a good bunch of solutions as well. So not just problems, trying to be solution-oriented over here. So yeah, these are our promises to go with.
So let's go.
Yeah.
Well, we think that for a long time, the discussion in service design community has centered quite a lot around what happens in the design process and the most successful cases. And at the same time, we're thinking that there's a lot to learn from those moments where things didn't go as well as planned. So that's the point. And on the same note, we're thinking that maybe service design discipline has grown into a point where we can reflect on our own impact and the shortcomings as well. So it's having like this age comparison. We think that service design is in a way in this moment that maybe we passed the age of 20-something when we're quite self-concerned, thinking of our own process and not looking around us that much, maybe. I don't know. So.
Yeah, and like
that's kind of where we're coming from with this.
Yeah, and I think we're in a healthy 30-something spot where we can start thinking about this stuff. And
Maybe.
you know, when we were planning on this talk and we were talking about this age stuff, of course, what happened next is that we're millennials, so we went to our Facebooks to look at the point here in case what did we look like when we were 20, and just to prove a point here, and I'm gonna regret this later. But look, so self-centered, absolutely does not care about impact and definitely not talking about our shortcomings.
Yeah.
Proving a point here.
This might have been a mistake, but, well, there it is. So it's not the moment to talk about, well, check our Facebook photos. So the point is we want to talk about how to make impact outside of the, just the typical service design process. So let's go.
Yeah. We didn't come empty-handed, so of course we would love to just talk about our own opinions as well, and trust me, you're going to get probably plenty of them. But we did a little discovery on top of our own notions, or actually wanted to kind of validate if we have gotten it right when we've been looking at the industry. And for that, we did a little mini survey, so we got around 60 responses. Now, hey, any academics in the audience, this probably will not fill any of the academic research criteria. But if you are willing to continue on this topic, I definitely encourage you to do so. But our little survey was all about 80% designers answered, mostly service designers we targeted here, and 20% stakeholders, equally important crowd. Did a few interviews on top of that, but
One of you.
But the point is that we will be talking today also about our observations and reflections over the year and how does it play out. And we did learn a bunch of stuff here as well. So basically, where we're coming with and what you're going to learn today is the fruits of this research as well. What we're going to be talking about, what we also surveyed was, first of all, why? Why does this happen? Like, why do we sometimes fail at creating impact? Second of all, and this is the huge chunk of the presentation, is, so what does it look like? And then, of course, what can we do about it? And then finally, we are aiming to the place that after this presentation, we would be able to give you these proposed 8 little fixes, or a fix kit of 8 little things everybody could do to prevent this situation. So hopefully we'll end up there.
Yeah. Okay.
But shall we go?
Yes, starting with why service design sometimes fails to create impact. Let's look at the top 5 reasons that we found out from the survey. First, the topics that designers pointed out. I'm going to give you a few seconds to take this in. And then the stakeholder side. And what's interesting here is that these top 5 reasons, they look quite different from each other. And if you look at the stakeholder side, stakeholders pointed out that the reasons were along the lines of service designers not having enough business perspective or cooperation with business, and maybe were too kind of tied on to certain outputs. And then on the designer side, the reasons were kind of lack of this and that from the management. So buy-in, commitment, stuff like that. But what we were happy to see was that on the common ground, both sides raised up stakeholder communication. But when we looked at the survey results, it also seemed that it was quite fuzzy, like whose job this should be.
Yeah.
So this kind of reasons, and we're going to come back to interpreting this a little bit as we go forward.
Yeah. But hey, moving on to as I promised, the big chunk of this presentation. So what does it look like when service design fails to create impact? And then what can we do about it? And also what you guys and I answered in the survey, that what can be done about it. But before we actually dive into too deep on that, hey, recognize this one. It's the double diamond with the fuzzy front end.
Yeah, you can take your bingo sheets out and they show the double diamond.
I had a point.
But we have a point on this.
Today, we actually want to talk a lot more about what happens maybe around this thing before it and afterwards. I mean, like, yes, we have a reason to concentrate on the actual process because that's our day job usually. But from the survey, we found out, first of all, that there's nothing inherently wrong with the service design process. So there's not like, oh, it's broken or it should be reinvented. No. It's quite fine. There are little tweaks here and there. But what we found out was that in the beginning and in the end and around it are very key issues that would enable us to do the impact or prevent us from doing so.
Yeah, we do recognize that it's not that linear and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But many times it's kind of applied in that way.
But maybe this as a framework before we dive into, and when we look at the results, we're going to start from the left side and move our way towards the right side, so keep this in mind. But let's go. Yeah. Oh, let's go.
Again?
Okay, Exhibit A. So what is this again, and why should we care? Something I have personally heard many times, and what we mean is...
Yeah, and what people pointed out in the survey and the discussions we have had with people over the years, so maybe there's situations where service designers feel that service design is not valued or understood internally, there's no willingness to invest into it, priorities and people are changing, that causes problems.
Yeah, pretty tricky stuff, and traditionally maybe something that we think, well, this is out of our influence, like nothing I can really do about it at that point. Yes, maybe when you are already in the process, not much, but this is the point way before you're even doing something where you can do something about it. And our first take on it is to quantify and translate to business. I don't think as service designers are super great in this. We rather talk about quality stuff than numbers. But if you try to translate what you're trying to do into numbers and the business talk, it's going to help you a lot. Second point, and probably something that comes up here quite many times, will be that it's actually our job to sell service design. If your stakeholders, if your management doesn't really get it, nobody will be doing it for you. So it's our job to do that, and then find allies to start with. If you're faced with a lot of resistance, maybe start small. Don't try to, take everything in once. And if you face a lot of resistance, just name it different if it need be. If your stakeholders think like, ooh, service design, I don't want to do that, name it different and go ahead with the process and it's going to be fine.
Discovery definition work.
Yeah, imagine. And then finally, if you can't be the problem solver now, so nobody's going to allow you to have the budget or do that, maybe you can be the problem influencer. So you see the things that should be fixed and you see where you could do impact. Try to raise up those things to the discussion and work your way from there. When everybody recognizes that problem, that's your moment to hit with the service design. Okay, moving on. We weren't too impressed the last time round. And now I've been here.
Yeah, and why that kind of things that people raised out in the survey, like why that kind of comments might be coming from the stakeholder side. The reasons you pointed out, maybe service design was done in the name only, or by the non-experts, or service design's maturity was too low. So this is what you raised up there.
Yeah. And tricky stuff, nothing to do with maybe you, someone else, but once again, it's your job to sell the real service design. If they have the wrong impression, you gotta fix it. Put your work pants on, do it.
You had that point already. But
yeah. Second of all, we didn't want to come here today and say that, oh, only experienced designers are good designers. We don't actually think this is a matter of experience years. This is a matter of an attitude. And let me explain. One, even though you would be a junior one, have the courage to push back and justify. There are definitely rationales in doing in service design what we do. But if you're just going to be the one who pushes back and justifies, people won't like you that much. So have also flexibility and a service attitude. I mean, we're service designers. It has the word service in it. So let's do that. Be flexible. Maybe we can go around it. Maybe we can do it in another way. If you combine these two, it's a really good superpower. There. Okay, next one. Here's nothing. Could you do everything? Thanks, Gabe. Bye. And by this, we, of course, mean budgets and resources.
yes, a lot of thing that came up a lot. Insufficient resources, time, unclear goals, lack of ownership on many levels, things like that. And what you pointed out as solutions, let's check those out.
Anybody who's ever had this one?
And we're going to tackle that in a bit more detail, actually, later.
Okay. What you guys said, pretty mundane thing, but many of you on the survey said that, yeah, we're missing a PO, like nobody owns this stuff, so then nobody cares. So quite an easy fix is that before you even start, maybe try to assign a PO, like a process owner or a project owner for whatever you're doing. If there isn't anyone, then try to make sure this is covered. Second of all, there are a couple of ways you can go about it. So you can go down the defend path. So defend your budget, defend your resources. But that's going to require for you to talk a lot more with the stakeholders. Just your basic rationale here. However, if that's a no-go zone, like that really didn't work out for you, then a really good strategy is to adjust. And I know this is super difficult for us because we would love to do things properly, but maybe this time around, you can adjust a little, you can make it a little smaller, and just work your way from there. Get a good reputation for your name and do it big the next time. It's our job as service designers to give a realistic view to our managements and stakeholders about what's ahead, like what's the process going to entail, who needs to be involved, how much time this will make, how much money it will make, yes. But if you only give them the realistic view, they don't feel it really as an exciting stuff. So it's also our job to give excitement, like, hey, yay, all of the things that we can do with this, like, give me all that money and I will give you the world. So remember to do the excitement part as well. And then finally, if absolutely everything goes south for you, then maybe you need to have the courage not to do service this time around. Service design isn't the solution for absolutely everything, and when the environment is a little hostile, maybe just
when the
take a step
elements
back.
for success aren't there, it's fine not to do that.
Yeah. Okay. The business doesn't care, and on the other hand, the service designers don't understand business realities. Very basic stuff, right?
It's one of our favorite. This came up a lot
Yeah.
in the survey, and we're hearing this a lot in different discussions over the years. Like business people or stakeholders are saying that designers don't have really business context or problem understanding. Like they don't get the big picture here. There's lack of shared language. Designers are saying that but stakeholders aren't really participating or committed to this thing.
And this was said a lot. And guess what? A lot of the things we as service designers have to do for this thing. First of all, do your homework, know your audience, and especially in any context, whether you're in the public services or in business, try to know what you work with. Not just your own craft, the service design, you have to know what you're working with. This is super important, and this is not anything you do, this is something you think. So get on the same side of the table. Be curious of what your business does, and actually assume that they are doing something super interesting, and get on board with that. This is going to do amazing for you. Once again, quantify, talk in numbers, talk business. Business people love this stuff. And then finally, I guess, as a synthesis of all of this, invite and team up. Do not isolate. We love our little service design bubble. I love it as well. But you cannot isolate if you want to have something done.
True.
One of my least favorites, it has to be done this way. And a little pet peeve of ours.
Yeah, what we mean by this, sometimes we love our methods and design theory and all that, but maybe sometimes that kind of overrides what the case or the work would actually need, what would be suitable. And for that reason, sometimes stakeholders, based on the survey, seem to think that service design takes too long, costs too much, overcomplicates things.
Pretty annoying stuff. But easy one, align and adjust according to need. I mean, we have our service design theory, the methods and everything for a reason, because they actually work. But maybe we can push the boundaries a little, sometimes be a little more flexible. We don't have to do everything super big or super precise. We love to talk about scopes. I mean, we're consultants, so of course. But pre-scoping, so scope beforehand, but be willing to re-scope again. If it looks like you maybe have to scope down, just take the mental attitude of being willing to do that. It's going to help you with the stakeholders. Don't fixate, have an open mind, quite easy. And this is something you guys said in the survey. I thought that was super interesting. Optimize face time. Sometimes, of course, we think that we need to involve all of our stakeholders and business in order to get the input. That's super important. But maybe let's also be mindful that we don't overload them. So don't make 12 workshops just for the fun of having workshops. But try to consider how you use your stakeholders' time. This will help you with the mental attitude stuff as well. Then, we didn't get good enough of results.
Again, from both sides. Designers saying that, we couldn't do deep enough survey or customer research. And then the business saying that, this is pretty much what we knew already.
Thanks for nothing. Yeah, this we dedicated a whole section for because we're now in the smackdown in the process, and it needs its own section. Once again, I'm going to be talking about scoping, but actually this time, you might want to rescope also upwards in the middle of your project if you feel that it's not sufficient enough. So do scoping as a fluid thing that can change as well. Then, something super important. As service designers, we have been taught to be objective. So first ask, find out, research, and only then make assumptions. And I understand, I feel that way. It's my security blanket as well. We're kind of saying that maybe we need to be brave enough to first make assumptions and then validate them. And the point is that if we only ask, that's troubleshooting for today. So you get the answers of today if you just ask out of a blue ocean. But if you make some bold assumptions to the future and validate those, then your business might get more future-proof results. And this was some of the critique that we got from stakeholders as well, that we're not future-minded. And finally, this is the last one. The service design project was a success, but the results didn't just go anywhere afterwards. Anybody been here?
Yeah, things that were raised up in the survey. Results were not understood. There was a lot of resistance to change. Implementation was handed elsewhere. Maybe even personal visions override what the service design work was proposing. So these kind of things came up from the
Yeah. And this is pretty difficult stuff, admittedly. But the first thing you can do that is in your hands is do not make standalone service design. If in the middle of your project you realize that you don't actually know where these results will be used or what development will be done with it later on.
How they will use them.
Exactly. That's your moment to take a little pause and figure this out. Second point, when you're done, it's not over yet. So if you remember the double diamond, when you get to the final side of it, the results have to actually start flying elsewhere. So you're not exactly done at the end of that process. And that's why the change and expectation management needs to start early. So when you already get your first results in, like in the middle of the project, start talking with the stakeholders about it, like advertise what you found out already in the middle of the process. It's our job to design the next steps too. And I think this is maybe sometimes lacking from the traditional process that like we're not actually doing the designing of the next steps. Like just take ownership of that and do it because, shocker, nobody else is probably going to do that for you. And finally, this is my final point out of this discovery part. It's our job to sell and storytell the results. Our stakeholders and managements, they aren't great often in understanding service design artifacts like swim lanes and blueprints and customer journeys. But if we can really sell that and put it into the form of a story, explain what we can do with that, explain where we're going towards with this, it's going to help you a lot. So don't just rely on your beautiful artifacts, but make a story out of it. Hui! Made it.
Yeah, so there was a lot of stuff, a lot of lists, but we wanted to give you what we found in the survey and the observations we had done over the years. And well, we promised like the solutions part. We're going to have this fixed kit of 8 principles-ish, something like that. But we don't expect you to remember all that, so that's why we made the concise version. But so that it's not just running from a list to another one, we can take a 3-second breather and look at this lovely internet celebrity baby pygmy hippo.
Baby pygmy hippo in Thailand. You can Google it later. It's super cute.
So 3 seconds.
Okay, ready?
Ready for another list. Okay, so finally, in summary, how can we prevent low impact from happening?
Yeah.
And we have a list kit of 8 points.
Okay.
So let's go. The first one is mental ownership. So there was a lot of talk about the ownership and lack of that in the results. And what we're proposing here that as service designers, if the ownership of taking something forward wasn't actually on your table or on yours on a paper, take it anyways, and push the thing forward. And for me personally, this has been a groundbreaking principle in terms of my own job at my current company and with clients.
Yeah.
They really love it when you're actually taking ownership of someone else's business.
Second point, and I talked about this already. This could also be called get curious, but get on the same side of the table and get genuinely curious about your stakeholders' business. Assume that they have something super interesting going on, and take your mental state on the same side with them. Don't make enemies where there ain't none.
Basically, seek alignment, don't detach. It's your common thing.
That's the thing.
Third point. Change management, not handovers. And what we mean by this, that our work as a service designers need to stretch all the way to, implementation, marketing, go-to-market, whatnot. Whatever happens after, we're kind of shaping service experience and then the concepts and all that. And this needs to happen early. And a very good example, recent example from one of our clients that we've been working with, she's building a concept on like a totally new business stream for their company. And we've been figuring out how it could be formed and what it would be. And the one gate for that thing, if it goes forward or not, is the board meeting. So she's been on a weekly basis kind of managing the expectations of the board members, like aligning them on where we're going. And as a surprise, it's no surprise that, of course, it got approved.
It was actually no surprise for anyone at that point. Yeah. 4, outcome over output. We do love to make really precise outputs, our service design artifacts, but maybe push way more details into how does it become an outcome. So outcomes only live afterwards. There is some kind of a goal, or what can we do with those artifacts. So less focus on the results and swim lanes and stuff, more focus on what can be achieved with it.
Oh, yeah, 5th one. This is actually one of my favorites, and there's a lot of rant about this, like the budget constraints, and they're not giving us the money to do this good service design work. But if you train your sense of scope and figure out that what could be even the smallest little next step that would take the thing forward, that you could maybe use to reason for the next bigger phase.
Yep. Number 6, and this one I also talked about, but this I propose as the new superpower of any service designer. So a power duo of service design, service mindset paired with a ability to push back. So a good cop, bad cop kind of thing. Works every time.
Yeah, my second favorite, storytelling and numbers. So as mentioned, stakeholders, especially the business people, they don't really understand those details of the design artifacts. So in order to kind of get engagement on what you're proposing and designing, maybe you could build that in a form of a story. And also try to get initial numbers around it, like what the impact would actually look like. And it's very difficult to kind of do the numbers part, but it's worth trying.
Yeah, just to reassure, numbers are difficult, and this is something very uncertain in that stage.
And many times, we as service designers, we're in the business development business for our customers, especially when we're, consultants or in-house, that's the thing.
And finally, your next-in-line stakeholders, and what we mean with next-in-line stakeholders are the ones on the same level with you, but on different functions. So like marketing or sales or development, these are the guys where your results are going to be heading to next. So actually, we don't often get to be the ones who realize the impact. It's them. So make sure that they are on board, make sure that they have the next steps, because they will be the ones who give the mandate for any impact creation later on.
The mandate basically happens, the impact basically happens through the mandate from the next in-line stakeholders.
Okay, here is
So this is what we're proposing, basically. A kit of 8 principles to, apply in your work next to the design thinking principles, maybe.
Yeah.
Something like that.
And something we've found that works in many situations and actually helps with not just the service design process, but the impact side of it. So if you even found 4 of these interesting and useful, take them. It's yours now. And I guess just thanks for listening.
All right. I think we have time for one question. Let's check the platform and see if we've got anything. Let me check. Loading. Thank you for the chat and the presentation. Very informative talk. In some countries where service design is a brand new term, what would you advise to effectively talk about its impact, or in other countries' contexts, and convince people it's a real thing? What do you advise to effectively talk about it?
Well, definitely the points that I made at least 3 times. So it's actually our job to sell the service design. It's unfortunate that when you're starting out, you have to do more of the marketing work. But the thing is that nobody's probably going to do that for us anyway. So the fastest route anyway is to do your marketing work first. And I think in Finland and many places, the service design industry is already way ahead, but we still have to do this. Like, we're not ready anywhere.
Yeah, and maybe for some stakeholders, the word design gives an itch sometimes. So talking about what actually happens there, what the work actually entails and consists of, and what can be achieved through that. So maybe that's how to frame it.
Yeah. Design gives you an itch. No. We take away. Big round of
but happens sometimes.
That happens sometimes. Big round of applause for our speakers.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.